Hey guys, it's Jim. So I was looking around on one of the workers' compensation forums on Reddit last night, and I came across an interesting post with a question that somebody had asked that I thought probably merited some attention. So let me just read you the question, and we'll go through it, and I'll kind of tell you my thoughts on it. So what the question says is, at the beginning of this year, I got injuries at work the day before I put in my 2 weeks notice and at that job. I got hurt and have been off of work and getting my weekly checks from that job. I am now supposed to go back to work, but I'm confused on what to do because technically I don't have a job to go back to. So where exactly am I supposed to return to work? Person goes on to say, as well as this whole situation with the virus, there would be no job to return to. My second job that I had is shut down as well. I am supposed to return to work and do light work, and I have a lot of restrictions, so no other job will hire me like this. I'm very confused on what I'm supposed to do now. Someone please help me. Well, I see that and I figure, well, okay, I'll wade into this. There's quite a bit to unpack here. So first of all, we have somebody that's given their 2 weeks notice on their job. Okay, that's fine. A couple of days after that, but before the end of the 2 week period expires, they're still working. They sustain an on the job injury. That part is pretty straightforward. That's a compensable workers' compensation claim, and you're going to be entitled to workers' compensation benefits indefinitely for as long as the case goes on. So that's number one. Just because you gave your 2 weeks notice and then got hurt, you still have a valid claim. Now, the person has given up the job because they've given their 2 weeks notice. They now apparently have been released to light duty work. Okay, that's not a full duty release. So they can't go back and do any job. They can only go back and do a job with certain restrictions. Well, how that would work is in this particular instance, they don't have their former job to go back to. They've given their notice. In that circumstance, at least in Connecticut, you would not be entitled, theoretically, you would not be entitled to have continued workers' compensation benefits. It would all really depend whether or not your employer had late duty work available to offer you. So if that employer that you gave your notice to had late duty work available and you had given your notice and you didn't go back there, then you're out of luck. If they did not have late duty work available, or they were some shut down or for some other reason, then the current situation in Connecticut is you would continue to receive your workers' compensation benefits because your employer can't accommodate those late duty restrictions. The way it's working at the moment is that those benefits continue without you having to do job searches. Now, there's a bit more in here because the person with the question says that they've got a second job. So that's what we call concurrent employment. And in Connecticut, if you get hurt on the job, but as a result of that job injury, you're missing your wages from not only that job, but a second job as well, you're entitled to compensation for the combined wages from the two jobs. So how that works is your insurance company for the employer for the job where you got hurt, they pay a percentage of the lost time. And then the wages that you're losing from the second job are picked up by the state of Connecticut Second Injury Fund. There's a whole relatively complicated process we go through to make those calculations and to get that money to you, but you are entitled to your wages from both jobs. So in this instance, the person says that their second job is not available for them to go back to either. Reading between the lines, I'm guessing that the second job can't accommodate the late duty restrictions. So, as I said previously, if that's the case, if your job can't accommodate your late duty restrictions, then in Connecticut at the moment, anyways, with the COVID situation, you're entitled to ongoing temporary partial benefits. Before COVID, what would happen is if your employer could not accommodate your restrictions, you'd have to do 5 job searches per week. So in other words, you'd have to look for a job consistent with your restrictions. Again, there was a whole process to go through for that. I have a video on that topic explaining the job searches, and we would get you paid that way. But at least in this instance, it sounds like the person, my guess is that they're not in a situation where they're going to be entitled to ongoing workers' compensation, primarily for the reason that they did give their notice, and then they've got a job release, but they don't have a job to go back to. So I think they're probably out of luck. If you have a specific question that you'd like me to address, please feel free to DM me. You can always call us. We're in Farmington, Connecticut, 860-523-8783. My name is Jim Aspel. I'm a board certified workers' compensation attorney. And shout out to the guy in Reddit. Hopefully this helps you out. It's probably not the answer you're looking for, but I did my best to try to answer your question. Thanks.